The night in a house is never truly still. Sometimes when the lights go out, the walls seem to whisper. The stairs shift ever so slightly, and the air moves as if someone unseen is holding their breath. In the opening moments of this video, you will see exactly that. A staircase slowly creaking as if someone walked across it without being seen. A fleeting shadow that appears for only a second, vanishing before you can fully understand it, and an unusual reflection in a doorway that changes if you look too closely. All of this happens deep in the night, precisely at 3:02 a.m. The red light of a camera flickers, capturing something that does not want to be seen, but somehow still is. A narrator whispers slowly, "Every house has its secrets, but a camera always sees the things that try to hide." In this video, we will glimpse 3 different homes. Each has experienced something unsettling, though the full story is yet unknown. The first house sits quietly in a peaceful town, where a family's sleep was interrupted by strange, unexplained sounds. The second is a rental home abandoned by guests who never spent a full night inside. And the third is an old house with a single locked room, shut for decades. We will see brief flashes from each, just enough to spark curiosity, but not enough to reveal everything. These are not ordinary videos. They are not staged. They are records of families trying to survive in their own homes, caught on camera in moments they could never explain. Remember, these aren't ghost videos. These are families trying to survive in their own homes. People install cameras in their homes for many reasons: safety, security, or simply peace of mind. But sometimes, those cameras capture more than anyone could have imagined. Across the United States, reports of strange, unexplainable activity inside ordinary homes are on the rise. Doors opening on their own, shadows moving in empty rooms, footsteps echoing where no one walks. These events are becoming more common and yet remain deeply unsettling. In this video, we will explore 3 separate homes, each with footage that is both real and disturbing. These are not staged clips or fictional recreations. Every shadow, every movement was recorded by families trying to understand what was happening under their own roofs. The first story begins in Ohio, where the cameras captured something that no one could explain, something that changed the lives of the people who lived there. And as you watch, remember, what you're about to see is real, and sometimes reality is far stranger than fiction. Story 1. The Ohio Nightwalker. A young family moved into an old house in Ohio, drawn by its charm and quiet neighborhood. From the outside, it looked ordinary, a classic brick home with a small porch. But inside, something felt off. The basement was always cold, no matter the season, and the air seemed heavier than it should be. Their cat, usually playful and curious, spent hours staring at blank walls, its fur bristling, its eyes fixed on corners no one else could see. Little things unsettled them. Doors that creaked despite being closed, faint drafts in rooms with no windows, the occasional whisper of a sound that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Something about the house made them uneasy, and curiosity quickly turned into concern. They decided to set up cameras around the home, not for ghost hunting, not for entertainment, but simply to understand what was happening, to have some kind of record in case the strange occurrences escalated. And yet, even with the cameras rolling, they had no idea just how much the house wanted to be seen. The first few nights passed quietly, with only the usual creaks of an old home. But soon, subtle events began to happen. Objects moved slightly from where they had been left. The stairs would groan as though someone had just walked across them, though the house was empty. Footsteps echoed softly through the hallway, never consistent, never fully explained. Nothing overtly terrifying occurred at first, just enough to make the family pause and glance at each other in confusion. The tension built slowly. The family began to wonder if the cameras might reveal something they had missed, if the subtle unease in the house had a source. And as viewers watching this footage, you begin to feel the same anticipation, a quiet, simmering curiosity. You sense that something is there, just beyond understanding, waiting for the moment it will reveal itself.
One evening, the cameras captured something that instantly amplified the tension. In the stairwell, a shadow shifted, just barely, barely enough to be noticed. It lingered for a second, then drifted slowly out of the frame. No one was downstairs. No one had moved. The silence of the house suddenly felt heavier, almost suffocating. The footage replayed in slow motion, and each viewing seemed to show a figure, or perhaps just a presence, that shouldn't have been there. Every creak and flicker of light on the footage made the family hold their breath. For the viewers, curiosity doubled. What was real? What was imagined? And most importantly, what would happen next? Over the next few nights, more footage revealed subtle, unnerving activity. A child's toy would shift slightly, as if played with by invisible hands. The carpet in the living room showed small impressions, like footsteps that appeared and vanished without explanation. Nothing was overtly threatening, nothing gory or terrifying, but each incident was disturbingly believable. It was realistic, subtle, and completely inexplicable. For the audience, the tension built steadily. For the family, fear became unavoidable. Even simple things, a chair moved a few inches, the faint sound of breathing in an empty room, felt like warnings. Then came the night that changed everything. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the main camera in the living room captured a dark silhouette, barely visible, lingering for a single second before glitching out of view. The figure was fleeting, almost dreamlike, yet undeniable. The family knew it was time to leave. The house, they realized, was not a home. They had been living in a space that watched them as much as they had watched it. They packed their belongings and moved out the next morning. Yet the story did not end there. The new owners reported that the sounds continued, the same creaks, the same whispers, the same subtle movement in the dark. And so the house remained, quietly watching, captured in fleeting glimpses by cameras, revealing only enough to keep its secrets alive. Story 2. The Texas rental nobody could keep. In a quiet suburban neighborhood in Texas, a seemingly normal rental house had a reputation that few newcomers dared to ignore. Guests who stayed there never made it through a full week before leaving in the middle of the night. At first, it seemed like an exaggeration, just an unlucky coincidence, perhaps. But the house had a subtle way of revealing itself. Visitors would complain of doors creaking open on their own, shadows gliding along the walls, and faint footsteps echoing down hallways that should have been empty. Even the owner felt uneasy, yet believed there must be a logical explanation: faulty wiring, drafts, or the house settling. He decided to set up cameras throughout the property, partly for security, partly to understand why the house seemed to repel everyone who tried to stay. The first night of recording revealed something that would make even the most skeptical viewer pause. In the long hallway leading to the bedrooms, a tall, dark shadow appeared, motionless at first. Then, almost imperceptibly, it shifted, turning its head toward the camera. It remained just long enough for the camera to catch it, then vanished as if swallowed by the walls. No one was in the house. Every replay showed the same presence, always fleeting, never fully visible. Guests who watched the footage were left with the same chilling thought. Something had been moving silently while they slept, observing them without a sound. The tension grew with each frame, leaving both the family and the viewers holding their breath. The next morning, the cameras outside captured more unexplained activity. Near the fence, a pale outline appeared for a few seconds before dissolving into the night. The dog barked frantically at the empty yard, its fur bristling. but nothing was there. Motion sensor lights flickered on, but the figure never returned. The footage was subtle, yet undeniably real, enough to make anyone wonder who or what had been standing there. Small objects in the yard were shifted overnight, nothing obvious, nothing destructive, but enough to make the house feel alive, aware, and watching. Over several nights, the footage grew more unnerving. The front door handle would slowly turn on its own. Cabinets creaked open in empty rooms. Soft, ineligible whispers were captured, just faint enough to make your imagination race. The presence never fully revealed itself, yet the evidence was undeniable. Each clip built on the last, layering tension, making it impossible for guests to ignore what was happening. Eventually, the owner had no choice but to sell the property. New tenants reported the same disturbances almost immediately: moving shadows, whispers in the dark, and fleeting glimpses of something that could not be explained. The house remained, quietly watching, captured in fleeting glimpses by cameras, revealing only enough to keep its secrets alive. Story 3. The Locked Room in Pennsylvania. In an old Pennsylvania house, a family moved in with plans to renovate and make it their forever home. From the outside, the house appeared ordinary: painted siding, a small porch, quiet street. But inside, one room had remained locked for decades. The blueprints mentioned it simply as permanently closed, a curiosity no previous owner had dared to explore. The air around it seemed heavier, as if the room itself carried memories of long ago. On the walls, faded childlike drawings hinted at playful times long past, yet the room had been untouched for years. Something about it drew the family's attention, curiosity mixing with unease. They decided to document the renovation with cameras, unaware that what they captured would soon make them question the safety of the entire house. The cameras recorded small, almost unnoticeable occurrences at first. The childlike drawings inside the locked room never moved, or so it seemed. Yet every morning, a few sketches appeared slightly shifted, as if someone had walked through them and rearranged them silently. Shadows lingered at the edges of the camera's field of view, subtle and fleeting, leaving only a feeling of being watched. Objects were never fully displaced, just moved enough to make the family uneasy. The audience watching this footage begins to feel the tension grow without any overt threat, curiosity turning into a quiet, lingering dread.
As the nights progressed, the recordings revealed more. A faint, distant giggle echoed through the hallways, captured clearly on the cameras despite no one being in the room. Shadows darted across corners and disappeared as quickly as they appeared. The door to the locked room, previously firmly shut, was observed slightly ajar at times, without explanation. Tiny footsteps seemed to echo faintly across the hardwood floors, yet no living being could account for them. The subtlety made it all the more terrifying. The house was alive in ways that could not be seen, only sensed. Each clip made the family question whether they had the right to occupy the space, whether they had disturbed something best left alone. One night, the main hallway camera captured what no one could ignore. Tiny shadows moved across the floor in a pattern resembling small footsteps. They moved deliberately, then stopped suddenly, as though noticing the cameras. The family was forced to confront the reality. They were not alone. Fear took hold, and they made the decision to leave the house permanently. Even after they moved out, the realtor informed the next tenants that the locked room had been left untouched, and they too reported strange occurrences within days. Every creak, whisper, and fleeting shadow was a reminder that some places keep their secrets, no matter how many people try to uncover them. No one ever dared renovate that locked room again, and the house continues to keep its secrets, waiting for the next visitor. Across these three homes, certain patterns emerge. While each story is unique, they share elements that make them disturbingly believable. Footsteps echoing in empty hallways, shadows that appear and disappear, and objects moving on their own. These are the three subtle signs that seem to define haunted activity in these cases. Science might offer explanations, drafts, old house settling, wiring issues, but the evidence captured on camera in these homes goes beyond ordinary occurrences. Multiple cameras, multiple witnesses, and repeated events at predictable times suggest something more than mere coincidence. Psychologically, humans are wired to find patterns. Our brains fill in gaps, making sense of the unknown. That may explain why we feel a presence, hear whispers, or see fleeting shadows. But in these houses, the events were recorded, tangible, and undeniable. Each clip demonstrates a careful balance between realism and terror, subtle enough to feel real, but uncanny enough to make the heart race. For viewers, these patterns create tension. The slow escalation from harmless creaks to unmistakable shadows engages curiosity, drawing you deeper into the story. You feel compelled to keep watching because the footage teases but never fully reveals what is lurking just out of sight. It reminds us that even ordinary homes may hold extraordinary secrets, and sometimes those secrets find a way to show themselves when we least expect them. The key takeaway is simple. These are not staged videos. They are recordings of families experiencing phenomena they could not explain. And perhaps that is why the stories linger in your mind even after the video ends. The camera doesn't lie. It shows us what we might not see with our own eyes, forcing us to wonder, what if it's happening in your own home? As we leave these homes behind, remember that what you've seen is real. 3 families, 3 houses, and 3 different sets of cameras have captured fleeting glimpses of what cannot be easily explained. Doors that open on their own, shadows that move just out of reach, subtle sounds in the night. All of it serves as a reminder that some things in this world are beyond our understanding. Tonight, when you walk down your hallway or hear a creak in your living room, think of these stories. The houses we explored were ordinary in every way, yet extraordinary in what they revealed. Cameras can capture what we cannot see, preserving moments that might otherwise vanish, moments that make us question the safety of our own spaces. If you have ever experienced something similar or captured footage of the unexplained, share your story. You never know, it might be the next video. But until then, remember, even in the quietest, most familiar places, there may be more than meets the eye. The shadows are patient, the sounds persistent, and the unseen always watching. Before you close your eyes tonight, remember this: your home may be quiet, but your cameras, and perhaps something else, never sleep.